Yes. Palay madam, yeah. Okay. Respected senior dear friends, good evening. Welcome back to month 7, session 6 of our Vaccine Samvad with the vaccine guru, our own Dr. Nitin Shah sir. We welcome you all for this special Vaccine Samvad. Let me invite our President, Dr. Sanjay Pakmode sir, for the briefing.
Namaskar. This is a much awaited program of every month, that is a Vaccine Samvad, under the moderatorship of Dr. Nitin Shah sir, who is as far as the vaccine is concerned, the person not known in the only India, but on the globe. So, and the vaccine today chosen is a influenza vaccine. It's the right weather for choosing the right vaccine and the right time to know from the experts about this particular vaccine. We are now monsoon, early monsoon period, where we need to know more about this particular vaccines, because there are a lot many queries coming from the patient. And as we know, this flu vaccine is a very contagious vaccines. And this, if you see it might be a very simple infection in 90% of the cases, which subsides by itself, the symptomatic treatment. But in 10% of the cases, we might face some difficulties, and where the patient will land in the PICU and we'll have to manage it. So a vaccine preventable disease with this particular vaccine. So today we are learning from the panelist. We got the panelist from Dr. Prakash Vaidya sir from Thane, who is a vaccine expert. Then Dr. Arun Wadhwa sir from Delhi, again from the vaccine and ID expert, and Abhay Shah sir, ID and vaccine expert. So I think it is going to be a great opportunity for us to learn in detail about this particular vaccines, because as far as this vaccine is concerned, there are a lot many what is northern vaccine, what is southern vaccine, when to give what vaccine. So let us clear all our queries about this particular vaccine. Thank you, and I welcome you all on this Mahai platform. I welcome our dynamic secretary Amol Pawar. I welcome our scientific chairperson Dr. Minhas sir, convener Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh sir, and our treasurer Dr. Abha Sonone sir, and Dr. Pankaj Agrawal as a vice president, and all the MAHAIP and CIP office bearer, and all the attendees. And I also welcome some Sarin sir from USA, who is joining regularly our program. So over to you, Minhas sir.
Thank you, sir. Well said. Now I invite our HSG, Dr. Amol Pawar, to grace the session.
Thank you, dear Minhas sir. First of all, I welcome today's moderator, the one and only Dr. Nitin Shah sir. As already Sanjay Pakmode sir has told, he is the vaccine expert of the globe actually, and he has taken this initiative to gather all the experts from vaccinology and also infectious disease specialists to teach us about vaccines for the whole year. So thank you, Nitin Shah sir, for taking up this task. I also welcome Dr. Arun Wadhwa sir, then Dr. Abhay Shah sir, dear friend and mentor, and also our own Maharashtrian Dr. Prakash Vaidya sir for consenting to be an expert for today's talk. I also welcome Devendra Sarin sir and all the attendees, Sanjay Deshmukh sir, then Ravindra Sonone sir, and all the office bearers of various district branches from Maharashtra, as well as some of the executive board members of Indian Academy of Pediatrics. So wish you all happy learning. Thank you. And I also welcome, Dr. Jitendra Gavane sir is there. Then today's MMC observer, my dear friend, Dr. our Sagar Bhalerao from Nasik IIP. He is president of Nasik IIP. Welcome, Sagar, you too. Thank you. And over to you, Minhas sir.
Thank you, Amol Pawar ji, our HSG. Now I invite Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh to grace the function, and then we straightway go to the program.
Good evening. it will be the great occasion to discuss Vaccine Samvad. We are eagerly waiting every first of the month, and we are thankful to our mentor, Dr. Nitin Shah sir, for such initiative. And today's vaccine, as rightly told by Dr. Papne sir, is the right season, right vaccine to discuss. Lot of queries, trivalent vaccine versus quadrivalent vaccines, influenza tetra versus vaccine flu has different strains. And I hope today we have galaxy of faculties, Dr. Arun Wadhwa sir, Dr. Vaidya sir, and Dr. Shah sir will definitely make sure will not be confused which strain to be used and what to be do. So welcome to the happy learning in monsoon season. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Now we'll go to the session straightway. So before we start the session, a small brief resume of all our experts and moderator. Though we all know, but still Dr. Nitin Shah sir is our own. He's in section head, pediatrics, PD Hinduja Hospital, Mumbai. Honorary pediatric hematologist, oncologist, BJ Wadi Hospital, Mumbai. Visiting pediatric hematologist and oncologist at Apollo Hospital, Mumbai. He has been one of the younger president of Indian Academy of Pediatrics 2006, fellow of IIP and ISHTM, chairperson IIP PHO chapter 2015-16, and he has a rich contributions to the academics in the form of several books, publications, and lecture. So thank you, sir, for accepting this particular task, which you have been doing diligently. Our next expert is Dr. Prakash Vaidya, sir. Prakash Vaidya, sir, is from Thane. He is the senior pediatric consultant at Fortis Hospital, Mumbai, and Child Health Clinic, Mumbai. He has an special interest in pediatric pulmonology. He has been joint national convener for asthma training module in 2021-22, co-convener and writing committee member of the under 5 visas module of IIP, and for other committees as well. The best part of the sir has been he is always jovial and ever smiling face, which is infectious. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Our next speaker is Dr. Arun Wadhwa, sir. Is a consultant pediatrician in practice for more than 34 years. He is a visiting consultant at Rainbow Children's Hospital, Delhi. He has been the ACVIP member for 2022-23. Done courses in vaccinology by INCLAIN, that India INCLAIN Trust, NIFD Washington, and IIP VAC by ICP. He has been editor to various books, written multiple chapters, national trainer for various vaccine courses, and a well-known figure and face in vaccinology. Thank you, Wadhwa sir, for being with us for this particular session.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our next expert is from our neighbor state, Gujarat, Dr. Abhay Shah, sir. He is a director of Children's Hospital at Ahmedabad, member ACVIP 2022, 2021, 18, 19, National Scientific Convener IP Action Plan 2020 and 21, recipients of major orations and outreach contributions in the academics and the publications. So with this brief, over to Nitin Shah sir for the session to progress.
Well, thank you, Dr. Minas, Dr. Pakmode Sahib, Dr. Amol, Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, all other dignitaries who are there joined today. I hope Dr. Prakash Vaidya is joined. Dr. Prakash?
Yeah,
Sir has
hi.
joined.
Can you see
Okay,
me?
fine.
Sir has joined.
So can the admin please make focus on 4 of us only?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing the same.
Once you do that, then I will start the session.
Change the
Yes.
background. I can't.
So, friend, we have had so far 5 vaccine samvads so far. We had one on the TB vaccine, then we had on the HPV vaccines, then we had different PCV vaccines. There are so many, as you know. We had on Rota vaccine, again, a quick recap. And last time we had the JE vaccine, which is very important because there's another vaccine which we have started using in our day-to-day practice. And today I have chosen flu vaccine for the 2 reasons that Number one, of course, it's an underutilized vaccine, according to me. People are still not using it vaccine the way they should be using it. And second thing, this is the right time, monsoon, pre-monsoon, when the flu cases will pick up. And that's the time when we should be discussing about how best to use this vaccine. So with that, I have an extremely allied panel, and I'm really happy because I don't have to do much work with Dr. Abhay Shah, the past convener of the IPCOI, Arun Wadhwa, again, a past convener and member of the IPCOI, and Prakash Vaidya, my very good close friend from neighboring branch Thane, who are all academician, and Prakash, of course, is also expert in respiratory systems. So I think I'll make utilization of him as far as discussion in influenza disease is concerned. So let me start with today's Vaccine Samvad, and I, of course, greet all the people who have taken time out of their busy practice at late hours tonight today and join online to learn something about influenza. So I will start with our guest from outside Maharashtra, Dr. Abhay. So, so first of all, just explain what is a pandemic and what is an outbreak or an endemic, or what are these terms, and as far as flu is concerned.
Yeah, so I take this opportunity to thank Maharashtra IIP and all office person Nitin Bhai for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So as rightly mentioned that flu season, we talk about the flu season. So before that, I answered, I will in a one line give the idea about this virus, that they have got the surface protein, that is hemagglutinin and the neuraminidase, that is 18 types and the 11 types respectively.
Correct.
Now, because of some genetic change, when there's a minor genetic change in this genetic material that occurs in the type A as well as in the type B, and because of this change, we have got the new virus, and this new virus is responsible for causing the seasonal flu. Now, this flu virus, even though virus is new, because of the genetic change, people will have some immunity against them. But sometimes the immune mechanism of the body fails to recognize this new antigen or the past antigen, and therefore there are a large number of cases occur in the typical season, and that will give rise to the outbreak. So there is one is a seasonal flu. Second, the seasonal flu will result into the outbreaks.
So, just to interrupt, the minor antigenic drifts will lead to an outbreak year after year. Even when the virus looks very similar, there is some change in the antigenicity, which many newborn babies who have been just born after the last outbreak and some people who have not had good immunity would now develop flu. Okay. So now what's a pandemic?
This process is described as antigenic drift. As against, there is a major change, which is described as antigenic shift. And there is total genetic reassortment. And this occurs only with the type A virus. And when this novel virus comes into existence, remember that there is no immunity to the people. And therefore, large number of people are affected. And the epidemic will surpass from one continent to other continent and will give rise to pandemic.
Correct. So can you enumerate some pandemics recently in this last century?
Yeah, the earliest one was in the 1918. Then in the 1947, now the Spanish flu was the worst one.
Correct. 57, yes.
And the latest one is the 2009. We are the witness of that. And I think it started in the April 2009 and ended in the August 2010, by which during this time WHO recognized that a seasonal flu. And now today this pandemic H1N1 is still circulating in our.
So just to clarify further what Dr. Abhay has been saying, 1918-19 is a time when we really started having data collection and recording of all the flu, the influenza structure, and 1819 was the first Spanish flu H1N1. It staged completely to H2N2. So it became an Asian flu in 57. Then it changed to H3N2. Between the H2 changed to H3, which was a major shift. So we had the Hong Kong flu, and now the pandemic H1N1 came back. So that's how we had the 2009 swine flu or so-called swine flu outbreak. So you can see the major change from H1 to H2 to H3 and from N1 to N2 have led to these 4 pandemics in the last 150 years. In fact, the severe most was the Spanish flu 1819, supposed to have killed 40 to 100 million people. That's because there were no drugs, no ventilator, there was no oxygen, there was no support. All right. When is the next pandemic expected, Dr. Abhay? What is your gut feeling?
It's a very difficult to predict. I think at the same time, we need to have a pandemic preparedness. And now, currently, there is a H5N2, especially in the avian flu. And if the genetic resortment takes place, probably we may have a nightmare, and probably 29 or 30, 2030, maybe the offending year for that. Yeah.
So it's almost now 16 years since we had the last pandemic, and maybe something will come through. Only thing is, we are very lucky that the H5N1 bird flu, which was a killer disease, though there were only 100 cases, but mortality was more than 60%. Because of the high mortality, could not jump to humans and sustain its circulation. So we are sort of safe, but milder variety, which can infect human, not kill too many, will sustain, and a huge outbreak and a pandemic may happen. All right, let's move to Dr. Prakash.
Just one more thing I'll add.
Yes, yes, Arun.
The Spanish flu is also famous because, HIV was isolated then. They thought that a pandemic was caused by this bacteria. And that's why it was called Haemophilus influenza B. And later on it was found
All right, okay, that's it. And I think that's also one interesting pandemic, because that's the time when the American troops, which were in the developing countries, they died of flu, and their post-mortem blood cultures were done from the cardiac puncture. So post-mortem cardiac puncture was done, and that blood was cultured, and it actually grew staphylococcus and or pneumococcus. So what started as flu actually ended up killing because of bacterial. So we'll come to that play between virus and bacteria in the next few questions. Before that, I want to know from Dr. Prakash. We're discussing flu, so important a vaccine today. What is the disease burden? I mean, why are we so worried about flu?
I think we had a specter of COVID, but we forget that flu itself is one of the most humongously present disease. When you look at the WHO fact sheet, they said 1 billion cases per season.
Correct.
And if Indians form 17% of the world's population, imagine 17 crores.
Correct.
But we really don't know, but whatever series are there, whatever studies are there, which are published, the last study in 2016 showed that 16 lakh cases were there documented, of which a good number were children. So you can imagine that India, the reporting is very poor, it's very sporadic. Even then, the number of cases are humongous. So the burden is very large. Not only that, in underdeveloped countries like ours, the under 5 mortality is very high with flu. I mean, whatever children under flu die, the majority are in underdeveloped countries, and India has to play a major role in that problem.
Perfect. So it's estimated to have 90 million episodes in children alone every year globally. 20 million of them will become ALRI. 1 million will be severe ALRI, which are the ones which are concerned, because if not treated in time, may lead to land up into mortality. And anywhere from 100,000 to 150,000 deaths in children alone. Forget the adults and the elderly population. And the very recent publication of India for children under the age of 5 years, and we have around 120 million population of children below the age of 5 years, and they estimated the incidence of flu during any outbreak is around 132 per thousand. That is 13%, and that's known that 15% of children get infected during every outbreak generally. So that, if you calculate, the estimates come to around 1.6 crore episodes, out of which 1 crore will need OPD visit, 1 lakh will get hospitalized, and 25,000 or 30,000 would die. I mean, this is a staggering number which you cannot ignore. So, Dr. Arun, why do the children die? What are the complications, minor complication and serious complications?
So, most common complications we would see in our day-to-day practices, superadded infections. So, could be sinusitis, could be otitis media, sometimes pneumonia. But more than that, then sometimes all these other rarer complications have also been reported, like encephalitis, myocarditis, pericarditis, even involvement of the eyes, bones, joints. But the commonest would be superadded infections, then also spread to other family members, immunocompromised hosts, people in the family. So these are they can be counted as complications, but most superadded infections.
And because they will come with URI or ALRI, they'll be prescribed antibiotics. And that will only add to the burden of antimicrobial resistance, which we are fighting so badly. So if you had used this vaccine and the pneumococcal and the hip vaccine, probably your episodes of ALRI will come down, and probably your antibiotic prescription will come down. We'll come to that a little later as to what are the indirect benefits of giving flu vaccine to children. Let's come back to Dr. Abhay again. So we discussed this 1918-1919 pandemic, the what do you call, the cardiac puncture done in to soldiers who died, US Army soldiers, and they proved that they were all actually, they died not because of flu alone, but separate infections. So what is the interplay between flu and bacteria, and which are the viruses which are more commonly associated with secondary bacterial infection? Is it only flu or there are some other
Now,
also?
there are also others. So, remember that when there is a flu takes place, probably it affects the respiratory system. So,
Correct.
it causes the damage to the respiratory mucosa and especially the ciliary epithelium. And
Correct.
because of that, the viral invasion increases. Not only the viral invasion, the neuraminidase enzyme, which causes destruction of the sialic acid in the respiratory mucosal cell walls. And
Correct.
thereby the virus remains longer time, and longer they stay, longer they will replicate for the long time. At the
Correct.
same time, they produce a nidus for the bacterial infection.
Correct.
And on the other hand, when there's a bacterial infection, and if the child gets the flu secondarily, then probably the viral shedding and viral replication increases 10 times. So there is an interplay. And the commonest virus, the commonest bacterial infection that occurs following flu is one is the Streptococcus pneumoniae, that is pneumococcus. Second is Staphylococcus. And third
Correct.
one is the H influenza type B. So
Correct.
in addition to this flu, we have got the measles virus, which causes staphylococcus infection. We have got the
Correct.
chicken pox. We mainly cause, I think, Streptococcus
No, we are only
pneumoniae.
talking about respiratory virus. Like chickenpox is generally not the
Okay.
typical So like the flu, para-influenza, these are the
Flu,
commonest.
parenza, even RSV, RSV,
but
and adenovirus.
yeah,
These are
the
the
other like human metapneumovirus, and they are not as much associated
No.
with secondary bacterial as much as this.
mainly measles and this flu.
Yes, right. So I think that's a very interesting story what Dr. Abhay is saying, and I think the delegates who are attending today, and they are more than almost touching 300 now. So there was a trial done in South Africa by Professor Shabir Madhi's group. They were studying that time a 9-valent pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, which was the Prevnar 7 plus type 1, type 5 added as an experimental vaccine to make it a broader vaccine to be used all over, including developing country. And when they did a subset analysis of the double-blind randomized control trial, where there was a placebo versus this, let's call it Prevnar 9, and they looked at children who were admitted with primary viral pneumonia as the diagnosis, which means their biofires had grown only virus and not bacteria. Now, if there was no interplay between bacteria and virus, you would expect that the incidence of hospitalization for pneumonia following flu should have been the same between vaccines versus placebo. But to their utter surprise, those who had taken conjugate pneumococcal vaccine, 40% was the efficacy against primary viral pneumonia, which means because they had received pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, even when they developed flu, they did not develop secondary pneumococcal infection and they did not get hospitalized. This opened the Pandora's box, or I would say in a good way, that we could understand that what the interplay between. So if you have used flu and conjugate pneumococcal vaccine in a child, very unlikely he will get hospitalized for one of these two reasons. While he may get hospitalized for staphylococcus or some other virus, that's a different thing. But the major killers are flu and pneumococci. And I think this was a very important study, subset analysis, which actually opened the eyes of people as to what is the interplay between influenza and bacteria. All right, I'll come back to Prakash. Why focus on children when it comes to prevention of flu? Like, are they the harbingers of the spread of the virus, or because they have more incidence, or what is it?
I think it's a combination of many factors. One is that kids are affected in a big way. Secondly, we know that their innate immunity is less than that of a healthy adult, so they are affected more severely. We know that they are more prone to complications. And also, importantly, they shed the virus for a much longer period.
Correct.
So for all these reasons, the children do form a very big cohort which has to be looked at. And the happy part is that you prevent flu in them with a flu vaccine, and all this really comes down.
Right.
So in both ways, I think it's a very rewarding thing to concentrate on children. They are the danger spots, but then intervention has its own rewards there.
I think the real test of it of a pudding is in eating it. So Japan was the one country where they had universal influenza vaccination program in the school compulsory with a very high coverage of more than 85%. The flu hospitalization disappeared in the entire community, including in adults. And after some years, as you know, the disease goes down, people worry about little side effect here and there. The flu vaccination became voluntary, and there was a massive drop in the vaccine coverage to less than 30%. And there was a sudden increase in the hospitalization of flu in children as well as in adults. Very clearly proving.
One more statistics, that the swine flu percentage was at 60% at one time in children. Now, among the swine flu, almost 80% are children with the time passing. So we have to focus on this.
Correct. So I was just saying that the Japanese experiment proved that the children were the ones which are spreading the virus into the community, like it would happen with measles, like it would happen with varicella, like it will happen with hepatitis A. What is unfortunate is that in developing countries like India and others, not only the incidence of the flu episode or of the ALRI because of flu or a severe ALRI needing hospitalization almost 2 to 3-fold higher, the mortality is 15-fold higher. And the entire West and the developed part of the world uses flu every year in every child, whereas we are still not gearing up of either including the vaccine in a national program or even for the pediatrician to use it with more vigor in almost every child, if not up to adolescent, at least till 5 to 8 years, where there is a maximum incidence of complication. So I think that is why I said in my opening remark that this is one vaccine probably which is underutilized even today in our day-to-day practice. All right, Dr. Arun, we talk about this direct problem. We said pneumonia, ALRI hospitalization. There are indirect effects which are even more societally important. What you call societal damage. I mean, what are that and what does it mean?
So just now you said, the children are the ones who harbor the virus and spread to the family. So there are elders living in the family, like India, we have joint families. Elders would get infected. The parents would have to leave office and sit with the child.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Child himself, herself also has to leave school. Once they get illness, minimum 3 to 5 days gone.
Correct.
And sometimes they may require an antibiotic. Sometimes they may be given an antibiotic without requiring it. And like we said, it will increase the AMR also.
Yes.
They might take it on their own, just like
right.
happens we see day to day. So the missing school of the child, the parents, the grandparents getting sick, and unnecessary use of antibiotics. That would be the other effects of this.
Correct. So I think we don't realize that you might save, say, $1 billion by vaccinating children, adults for prevention of the influenza complication directly, but maybe another 3 or 4 billion may be saved in the form of parent absenteeism and school absenteeism. So I think we don't calculate the societal benefits of any vaccination, but we must do that if we include the vaccine in the national program, where you do, say, like you do a method model for cost effectiveness. One of the important part of cost effectiveness is also benefit to the society in general. All right, so let's move now, Dr. Ababai. We have discussed enough that children are the focus. Children spread it. If you have vaccinated children, they don't spread it to others. They don't suffer. They have a very high incidence in developing country of both morbidity and mortality. And there are complications, as Dr. Arun said, and a new pandemic can happen anytime. We have to be prepared. So what are the preventive strategies? Now that we have discussed so much of influenza, what are the preventive strategies available to prevent a disease like flu?
There are two different aspects of it. One is a non-pharmacological and second is pharmacological.
Okay.
So I think the non-pharmacological factors are also very, very important that we should not ignore at any cost. And now with the COVID, we have learned also that. So I think the most important that avoid contact with the sick person. If you have got sneezing, I think you can use a handkerchief. Then secondly, you can use the mask. Hand washing is very important. You can use the sanitizer. You should avoid going to the very populated or thick and popular area like our malls. If there is a real outbreak is there which is notified, you can close the schools for a couple of days. I think these are very, very important. And secondly, second part is the chemoprophylaxis and the vaccine. Vaccine we are going to discuss little later. But I think chemoprophylaxis is also important. Now, whenever, especially in the healthcare personnel, person who is very sick, who has got a comorbid situation, I think you have to give the oseltamivir upfront. And remember, the dose remains the same, but it has to be given once a day and for the 10 days. 10 days. As a treatment, it is to be twice a day. Same dose band is there as for the weight, but it is for the 5 days.
So the amount of medicine would be the same. It's only twice a day. So 5 days, once a day, 10 days.
Once a day and 10 days.
Yeah, but you don't use it in otherwise people who are not at risk of severe. Otherwise, you will induce more and more
resistance, and the drug will be in the shortage.
Yes, and don't forget, azotamivir has its own side effects.
Yeah. So chemoprophylaxis is only for the comorbid situation and healthcare personnel and not the general population.
Perfect, fine. So, Prakash, Dr. Abhay brought a very important point. You can unmute yourself, Prakash. You are muted. Yeah. So he brought a very important using a mask. So the same question during COVID time. N95, cloth mask, or you use a simple surgical 2-ply mask. Do you wear it in your clinic every day now that the flu season start? I mean, what is your personal experience?
Yeah. So personally, I think to be very honest with you, I do not use a N95, but I do use an ordinary cloth surgical mask. Now,
Surgical mask,
really,
okay.
does it? Yeah, I do use a surgical mask, and I've never given it up even after the COVID thing.
Why is
Though
it?
N95 I've given up. Now,
Very
ideally,
good.
all the statistics will say that N95 is superior. You must use
Correct.
it, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
I think I did find some studies to justify my behavior.
Correct.
That even the surgical mask has some help, and in two ways. One,
Correct.
if the flu patient wears it, he will definitely prevent transmission.
Correct.
That also is encouraged, and you yourself will have some degree of protection, though it is not as
Correct.
good as the N95.
Correct. And wearing the mask when you enter a high risk ward of hospital like oncology ward or a PICU is very
Yes,
important,
yes.
Very important.
especially if you have mild cough and cold, because you can infect the patient
So
and the
this
patient can land into
Yeah.
complication. So I think N95 may not be required, but surgical mask definitely people should try to wear as much as possible, especially if you are also at risk for severe flu. Like you are a health practitioner, but you have diabetes, you are obese, you have hypertension, you have some bypass done, angioplasty done, something, then you cannot afford to have flu because you can be at risk of severe disease. So remember to wear mask in your clinic. All right, Dr. Arun. Why do we need to vaccinate annually? I mean, one of the real problem in flu vaccine underutilization is that people say every year who's going to take. Parents also get fed up, and we also. Why is it that we need annual vaccination?
So there are two reasons to it. One reason is that the vaccine changes every year, like this drift keeps happening.
No, so why does it change? That's the question.
Because of, it's a single-stranded RNA virus, and these viruses are known to mutate very frequently. The COVID
Okay.
also had the same problem. So once they keep changing and the accumulation happens, then WHO keeps studying, and then it makes a vaccine which should be relevant to the next season. And
Correct.
the vaccine immunity does not last for more than 9-10 months. So even if it hasn't changed, this is important.
Correct.
Even if
I
it
think this
hasn't
is
changed,
important.
you
Yes.
still have to take the vaccine next year.
Correct. So, Dr. Abhay, now that we are discussing the protection by vaccination, first of all, you are given the correct dose. Let's say 2 doses for below 9 months for the first year, and then annual thereafter, or above 9 years annually, starting and ending. How long does the protection last? Because during the 2009 pandemic, one thing which was brought out very clearly was that it affected actually more young people who were the workforce, and they died, and there was a lot of halagulla. Children were not as affected and elderly were not as affected. Unlike what you see a
Previous
W
phase, yeah.
shape, it was an M shape. So why? I mean, this elderly had no exposure to the PH1N1 except those who were more than 60, 70 years who had probably exposure to the last H1N1. So does it sacrosanct that the production doesn't last for very long? What is your take?
Actually, this is the one vaccine where the immunity wanes. So actually, if you have taken the correct dose, 2 doses with a priming of the first dose the same season, even in spite of that, the immunity lasts only for 6 to 7 months. And in fact, it starts waning by the end of the 3 months. So the immunity which is offered with the help of the vaccine is very short life, and that is why we probably need to have a circular annual dose, number one. Second, this will depend also upon the age of the patient. If suppose in an elder child, there is elder patients, their immunosenescence is there, so that they do not mount a good immune response.
Correct.
And
We'll
secondly,
come to that. Yes.
okay, and second important factor is that the circulating virus may not match with the vaccine virus, and that is why the immunity. But even if it matches, the protection offered is only tune of 59 to 60%, and it lasts only for 6 to 7 months.
All right. So, Prakash, 2 important questions for you. Number one, if the protection is going to last for 3 months, best 3 to 6 months, moderate after 6 months, maybe plus minus, should you be giving vaccine moment southern vaccine comes, say, for monsoon peak, or you give it near the monsoon peak? So, like it comes somewhere in March, April nowadays.
Yeah.
And the
So
monsoon season will be August, September. So, by then, the best effect might have gone.
So understand that geographically India is in the northern hemisphere, but epidemiologically we are in the southern hemisphere.
No,
So
that's
we
what I'm saying.
should
So
be-
suppose you want to prevent southern hemisphere peak, which will be say August, September.
Yes.
Should you give the vaccine in April when it comes, or delay it till May, June?
So the vaccine for the southern hemisphere, the virus is kind of identified by WHO somewhere in September. By the time the manufacturers manufacture it, it's already March or April. So that is the appropriate vaccine for us to give.
Correct, but should you give it in March, April as it comes, because the immunity may wane before the peak starts?
So the thing
or
is that
give
if
it
you're looking
near
at a
the
5 month
peak.
if you're looking at a 5-month peak immunity, I think the appropriate time is to give it in May or June.
Correct.
Because that's when the cases will mount, and your monsoon may go until even October end or November.
Yeah, correct. So what I normally say is that when your school is reopening, you know the harassment that will happen, the child is going to fall sick the moment you enter the school. Don't forget to take the vaccine as you have come back from a vacation.
So we tell them that it's a summer vacation vaccine, so it's easier to tell them. And you also have time, they also have time.
Exactly. All right. The second question, Prakash. Sorry, Prakash is on phone. Second question, Prakash. I mean, I've heard some expert. I mean, I completely disagree with them, but they say the vaccine comes 2 times in a year. You should take vaccine 2 times because the efficacy, as Abhay says, lasts for 4 to 6 months at the best, especially when the strains have changed, because you don't even have the immunity to the change strain. I mean, will you do it, or is this standard of care?
I think I would not do it. It's not even advised by IAP. And it's imagine telling a patient to take 2 doses. So protect him during the maximum peak. And I think after that, even if the immunity wanes, the viral circulation has also waned. So I think it's neither practical nor sensible to tell 2 doses.
So in the national conference, I've heard some experts giving example of Dr. Plotkin doing that, but I think that doesn't make it standard of care. So don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, bye.
The only thing that if you want to delay the vaccine, I think you have to look at the age of the child also. If the child is infant, then probably he's going to have more serious disease. So I think we should not delay because of the availability of the.
Yes. Okay, fine. So, Arun, yes.
Regarding these 2 doses, I think there is no recommendation. There is no way anybody says that you should give twice a year. But sometimes, high risk people, like I do for my parents who are 85, 90 plus. So I give them twice a year. Why?
Wow.
Because the US suppose it uses 4 times the vaccine, and then also the effect comes late. So why not in these high risk people use twice a year? There's no harm.
But I think
it's off-label. I'm not
that's
saying
a
that
personal off-label choice, but standard of care is to give it only once a year. At the best time is depending on which area. So now, Arun, you answer that question. There are northern vaccines, southern vaccines. What is these 2 strains? Which one which you use in which area of the country? We are like one continent, not a country.
Yeah, that's what. Geographically, we are in the northern hemisphere, but epidemiologically, we are in the southern hemisphere. And all these 12 centers in India, they study the variations of the virus in our country, and they found that most of the country, except for northern regions of Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, and Tamil Nadu, some regions, all others should be given southern hemisphere vaccine. These regions should be given the northern hemisphere vaccine because in Tamil Nadu the rains come later, and North Kashmir, North Himachal Pradesh, and Kashmir is actually because of that season, and the virus mutates more during the winters months, appears more during the winter months.
So I think this is an important message for all those who are lined up here, that the northern tip, because of extreme cold, behaves like northern hemisphere, truly like the western country like US, Canada, etc. And they would use northern hemisphere vaccine, which will come somewhere in September, October, to cover up the winter peak, which is the major peak in these areas. In southern tip, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, because the rains are late, their onset of the peak is late. So again, it will be covered more by the northern hemisphere vaccine than southern hemisphere. But for the rest of the country, especially Maharashtra, where we are now, we are having a major monsoon peak and a very small winter peak. So you should use vaccine which covers the monsoon peak, that is in July, August, September, which is the vaccine which comes in March, April, that is the southern hemisphere vaccine. So no confusion about that. The entire country will use southern hemisphere vaccine except the north tip and the southern tip like Puducherry and Tamil Nadu. All right. So Dr. Abhay, what are the prevailing strains in the southern vaccine which is available now and is going to change for the northern hemisphere vaccine for the 2025-26, which will come somewhere in September, October?
Yeah, so currently we are using a quadrivalent or a tetravalent vaccine.
Correct.
And if you look at the nomenclature, I think it's the type of the serotype, type of the virus, that is type A. Correct. Then it is a Victoria. That is the origin.
So it has H1N1, H3N2 type A,
pandemic
and type
H1N,
B.
Pandemic H1N, H3N2. And we have the 2 lineage from the B, that is Yamagata and Victoria. But as
of these, any of these going to change in the next northern vaccine?
Now since last 2020, I think the Yamagata is not circulating. So now we are, instead of quadrivalent vaccine, now CDC has decided to go for the trivalent vaccine.
So we'll come to that later. But for the remaining 3, Forget the Yamagata, Victoria, H3N2, H1N1. Is it going to change any of these three in the coming Northern Hemisphere vaccine?
No, no, probably not. Yes.
So there's one change, Doctor.
One is only type B is there with
Yeah.
it comes from Thailand. So
The type B
A remains
Victoria
there.
will
Yeah.
change from to
Austria and Thailand. Yeah.
That's right, correct. So that is the only change that's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Hmm.
All right. So you opened the Pandora's box, and I'm going to ask Prakash that we were having trivalent vaccine. We moved to quadrivalent when the type B2 lineage started by back to back or sometime even simultaneously in the same year. That is Yamagata and Victoria. And now since this year, CDC and WHO both have recommended to move back to a trivalent vaccine. What is this funda behind?
So I think the funda is that vaccinology keeps changing, so we have
Correct.
to change with the times.
Correct.
Now, as Dr. Abhay Bhai pointed out, the one of the 2B viruses, that is the Yamagata lineage, that in the last 2-3 years we have not noticed cases with that. The circulation has stopped. So
Correct.
now WHO said it's a good situation to stop that virus altogether, go for trivalent.
Correct.
Advantages are 2 or 3. One is that you save money in the vaccine, you save the cost. Second, the production is also faster. You're reducing one virus.
So capacity will go up.
And you are updated, and probably you can give the vaccine at an economical rate. So
Correct.
at least the CDC has said that go from quadrivalent to trivalent.
Correct.
So far in India, we are still using quadrivalent.
No,
And
so is it going to happen for the northern vaccine in India that we'll have trivalent vaccine?
I see no reason. The logic is the same.
No, I was in talk with all the manufacturers. What they're saying is that based on the CDC guideline, USA, Canada are definitely going to switch only to trivalent. So they'll make a trivalent vaccine entirely for the North America. But in India and other countries, as there is no strong recommendation by the local authorities, they are going to continue to manufacture quadrivalent vaccine too. So we will have only quadrivalent vaccine even for the Northern Hemisphere vaccine in the coming season. They may switch to trivalent in the next southern vaccine if there is a demand by the local authorities. So that is what I've heard, that all the leading manufacturers internationally are going to have 2 vaccines, trivalent for the Northern America and quadrivalent for the rest of the world. All right, we leave that to that, but use whichever is available.
Yeah.
And if both are available, you use any which you like. There are some people who feel that Yamagata has gone since last 5 years. It may come back next year. So why do this yo-yo? Keep using quadrivalent if it's available. I think makes sense. I don't think so, Prakash. They're going to reduce the cost because it become trivalent.
Exactly.
Because when it became quadrivalent, they did not increase the price. so that incentive is not there. And now you'll be surprised that unlike in past, where the manufacturing capacity was limited, the number of doses could not be made so many because it's an egg-based vaccine, and you need 1 egg per inoculation. But now that is not true because so many manufacturers that manufacturing capacity is not an issue. In fact, we are underutilizing the capacity. So I think that incentive also is gone. So it's only mere recommendation by a governing body rather than benefit to the patient. All right, Arun, what type of influenza vaccines are available? Now let's concentrate in the next 45 minutes on the influenza vaccines. What vaccines are available? And we'll discuss one in a quick succession.
So there are lots of vaccines available.
Yes.
Broadly, we can say live and inactivated.
Okay.
And both of them can be further divided into trivalent, quadrivalent, as you said.
Correct.
Then inactivated, we have quite a few others like high dose, which have 4 times the use. Then we have attenuated. Then we have, that recombinant vaccine, then interplay vaccine. Now you have the cellular vaccine also.
Correct.
So quite a few of them.
Correct. So you have the injectable is what you are using available live. We will discuss whether it's available and how best to use it. The high dose is not available in India. That's mainly for above 65. So also the adjuvanted, but again, that's not available. Recombinant is mainly for those who have egg allergy, but again, that's not available. And very recently, Moderna has come out with its own mRNA vaccine. And we'll discuss about the mRNA vaccine. Yes. So Dr. Abhay, what is this? Yes. So before we switch to the regular vaccine, just a word about this Moderna mRNA vaccine, again in limelight after the COVID mRNA vaccine.
We have learned from the COVID. It's a new novel platform, I would say, that is going to be used for the flu vaccine as well. The advantage is that the matching of the vaccine circulating with a circulating serotype is better compared to the egg and the cell culture vaccine. Number 2, I think the match is good, so the immunity is going to be very good. Number 3, a large scale production is very possible because we do not rely on the quantity of the eggs as well. And there is no issue of the egg adaptability. See, with the egg adaptability, the egg itself causes some genetic change in the vaccine, and sometimes the vaccine becomes less immunity. So large
Correct.
production, faster production, good match with the circulating virus, and less of the no issue of the egg allergy, no issue of the egg adaptation. I think it's going to be a order of the day in the coming time.
But sometimes suppose they don't have that temperature 2 to 8 degrees like COVID
Uh-huh.
minus
Yeah.
20, then it will be a problem.
Yeah.
Correct. So
It is same,
just
sir. Platform is the same.
so just 2 points. This mRNA 1010 Moderna flu vaccine, back-to-back 2 phase 3 trial have been published.
Yeah.
In fact, now they were applied for licensing. The first was immunogenicity, where they showed that GMR, the titer ratios were much higher than the standard influenza vaccine. And very recently, they published the phase 3
Phase three.
relative efficacy, which means they compare the efficacy of mRNA vis-a-vis efficacy of the standard flu vaccine, and they found that it was 25 to 30% more efficacious than the standard vaccine. So it might become available in coming years and may replace, in fact, like how it replace. Only thing we believe to see the safety, because we had the mRNA COVID vaccine leading to myocarditis in young
Myocarditis,
people.
pericarditis.
So that's something which we'll have to keep
So I
in
just
mind.
want to say a word of caution before we
Yes,
embrace
please.
it, because we had problem with the mRNA COVID vaccine.
But we
It's
also
still-
had with the Chadox vaccine leading to
the mRNA vaccine is new to the
thromboembolism.
human race. It is
Thromboembolism.
not a, it is
Yes.
not a vaccine that the human race has got experience for a long time with.
All right, we will leave it there because it's a Pandora's box. Okay, Dr. Arun, again, before we jump to the standard vaccine and discuss the injectable and the live vaccine, what is this universal flu vaccine concept? Like saying instead of having one annual vaccine, 2-time annual, maybe have only one, and like pneumococcal or HEP, like you use maybe 1 or 2 doses and that's the end of it. What is it?
So instead of the surface antigens, which keep changing, surface
Correct.
proteins, they are looking
Correct.
at the deeper proteins, the
Correct.
A protein which has a deep root inside, or proteins
Mhm.
which do not change. And they're also looking at newer platforms, so that nanoparticle platform or
Correct.
BLP type particle platform, so that, they give you immunity which lasts for, even if not lifelong, for the long-term process.
Correct, correct, correct. So the stem antigen of the A, which is like not changing type to type even when there is shift, is what they are targeting with a better adjuvant. And maybe a lot of money has been pumped by the Belinda Gates Foundation as well as by the donor countries to find out a concept of universal influenza vaccine. In fact, 20-valent flu vaccine is being tried also, so that you don't have to have vaccine again and again. And these are all in research pipeline, but don't be surprised if they become reality soon. All right, so with that background of the types of vaccine available and something on the new like mRNA, let's come back to our standard vaccine. So let's first discuss the inactivated injectable influenza vaccine that most of us use. Dr. Prakash, what is the dose and route of administration?
So I think now it's all a universal dose of 0.5 ml. Mode of
Correct.
administration is intramuscular.
Correct.
For the first time in your life you take a flu vaccine, there are 2 doses 1 month apart, and that is true up to the age of 9 years.
9 years,
Beyond 9 years,
okay.
it's a single dose, even if
Uh-huh.
it's for the first time in your life.
All right. Dr. Arun, how effective are these injectable influenza vaccine against against any flu and against severe flu?
The efficacy, effectiveness will actually depend year to year, whether the match is good or not.
So if there's a
And
good
then
match,
also-
like last 5 years, there has been good match.
Good match.
So that will also depend what you're looking at. Some studies look only at flu and how is it diagnosed, PCR, culture, what, and then also whether you're looking at ILI or whether you're looking just viral infection. So
Correct.
if you look flu for flu, then it's around 70 to 80%.
Correct.
For ILI, it will be a little less, 65, 70%.
60%, yes.
And
That's right.
viral would be around 50%. So it
Correct.
depends on what you're studying.
Correct. But still, it is quite
Good.
fair, the 65 to 80%.
Last 5 years, it's been good, yes.
Yeah, and I think what we are worried about is the severe flu or the severe ALRI that follows flu, which is prevented to the tune of 75 to 80%, which means you're going to prevent 75 to 80% of probably hospitalization, which happens because of flu. And I think that's a great advantage. And we discussed during flu that there are not only direct benefits, but also indirect benefits. So if you are given flu vaccine, then it reduces the 40% of hospitalization, 50% of OPD visits, 32% of antibiotic prescription, 77% of parental leave, and 50% of the school absenteeism. So these are all the indirect benefit of giving flu vaccine to children, which will help to in general to the society. Okay, Dr. Abhay, one question that is asked many times when I talk about flu is how safe they are, especially from the point of view of GPS and others side
Yeah,
effects.
so see, there are local side effects are very minor. That is redness, swelling. Sometimes there may be some fever or malaise.
Sorry, Abhay, just 1 minute. Admin, can you bring back Dr. Prakash Vaidya on the focus, please? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So I think they're the minor ones, and systemic side maybe some fever or malaise. But as for the
Correct.
most important myth, I would say, is the association of the flu vaccine with the GBS. So as far as if you look at the baseline data, I think the
Correct.
incidence of the Guillain-Barré syndrome is not higher than the actual what is
Correct.
maybe you
Correct.
get 1 or 2 cases per 1 million doses, but I think
But that's the background
that
rate,
is the
right?
background
It's
itself.
casual and not causal.
And we need to remember that flu itself can cause GBS. So if we
Correct.
want to prevent the flu, it
Correct.
will not also prevent the GBS following flu, but it's not
Perfect.
because of vaccination.
Perfect. What about some other rare side effects?
I told that it is fever, malaise, body ache,
All right.
some myalgia is there, and some
All right.
local reaction, redness, swelling.
All right. So otherwise, safe vaccine. So 1976, there was one batch of flu vaccine which led to an extra GBS 1 per 100,000 doses. Barring that, there is not a single time there is any GBS related to the flu vaccine. 2009 ASO3 flu vaccine, adjuvanted vaccine that Dr. Arun Vadava was speaking about, led to some cases of narcolepsy. Now, it was not known why, but it was probably that the vaccine was not completely split. So there were some intact particles which were blamed because of the side effect. Because
Or
after
could
that,
be
it
the
never
adjuvant
happened.
also, because
Yeah,
it's
it could
not
be
just
adjuvant also.
adjuvant.
But it didn't happen with the same type of vaccine later on. So probably it was that one particular batch.
So
There has been one batch of one vaccine used in Canada, which was related to what is known as ocular respiratory syndrome or ORS, where there were red eyes and respiratory symptom, which was again blamed to the lipids in the vaccine rather than. So it was a very batch specific. And last but not the least, I remember 2010-11, there was a huge outbreak of febrile convulsion in Australia and USA, where a vaccine made by CSL was used. There were almost 9 cases per 1,000 vaccinees. So that was very high. That was because of impurity. Again, that vaccine, when they changed the method, it disappeared. So except for this rare side effect with a particular batch, I think it's an extremely safe vaccine and we should not worry about it. Okay, Prakash, egg allergy and flu vaccine. What do you do?
So it was always a big bogey that egg allergy, you can't give flu vaccine. Now I think all authorities have come out with clear guidelines that there is simply no contraindication. Even if there is egg allergy, please go ahead and give flu vaccine.
If someone
No
had
special
anaphylaxis in the past, would you still give it, or
if there is anaphylaxis, I would definitely worry about it, but not otherwise.
Even the hospital.
I think, sir,
but give it in the hospital.
Yeah, you can give it in the hospital setting. Yeah.
Keep an adrenaline ready, which we do anyway for all vaccines.
All right, Dr. Abhay, this question is again asked. If I have GBS in the past because of any reason, can I take flu vaccine?
I think it's not a contraindication; it's a precaution. So you avoid vaccination for the next 6 weeks, and once you're completed, you can give the vaccine.
Okay,
so it's a precaution, not a contraindication.
All right. Now one Pandora's box that I want Arun to open up, and that is split versus subunit vaccine, the everlasting fight between manufacturers. What is your take? Are they same, at least in children, or they are not the same? Then what's the difference?
Look, the split vaccine is definitely a little better in terms of immunity to children, say between 6 months to 2 years of age.
Correct.
It gives you better protection against the B lineage.
Correct.
It gives you better protection in terms of long-term T cell immunity. But the only problem is that in practical effectiveness studies, they have been found to be the same.
Correct. Side effect profile?
Side effects also, yes, slightly more with the split viron as compared to the subunit. So it's something similar to WP and AP, so you can say that. Another box.
So for the delegates, subunit vaccine is where you take the pure the pure HA antigen of each 4 serotype or 3 serotype, depending on quadrivalent, trivalent. So there are no impurities. Whereas split is where the virus is split. So there will be also H antigen, but there will be also some other antigen. Now that makes it more immunogenic and it will shed better for efficacy, but also will be more reactogenic. So obviously, as I always say, if you can't have better efficacy unless you have some side effect. But generally in children, it may not be. But there are studies available from several in the adults, especially where it's been known that split is definitely better than subunit, especially for type B. Now, Dr. Abhay, what is the high dose influenza vaccine that Arun talked about? Is it available in India? And how it is better than the standard vaccine?
First thing, it is not available in India, but it is available in US. And our standard vaccine has the 15 microgram of the HA. But
Correct.
here
All four are 15. So here it will be all four will be 60.
Yeah,
60,
here
correct.
instead of 15, it will be 60. So standard is 15. Here it will be 16 microgram for all the four this
Correct.
component, and it is mainly recommended for the person who are 65 or above that,
About 60.
organ transplant and immunocompromised, because they
Correct.
do not mount good immune response.
Correct. So,
So
is there
when you use
any more side effect because there is more
no,
antigen?
the side effect is comparable. There is no extra side
Yes.
effect with this.
In fact, the efficacy improves from 56%
Yeah.
to 90%. So I think it's a vaccine
That's
which
why I
I
was
would.
saying, this super senior citizens, I would to give twice a day, because if not 4 times, at least twice a day.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll leave it there. That's your personal experience. It's not a
Yeah,
standard of care
exactly.
I can repeat. All right. So I think we have discussed everything about the inactivated vaccine. We have some rapid fire at the end, but before that, we will discuss the live vaccine. So, Dr. Arun, what is the live vaccine and how does it work?
So live vaccine is quite a favorite of mine. If it's available, I use it. It is actually a cold adapted vaccine in the sense
Correct.
that, it does not,
So
it
what does it
multiplies in
mean,
the
this
nose.
cold adapted? What
So
does it
that's
mean?
what.
Just little 2 sentence, yeah.
So it is reassorted vaccine in a way
Correct.
that, it multiplies in the nose, but when
Mhm.
it goes inside, because of the higher temperature, it does not multiply inside
Correct.
and cannot cause flu or flu-like illness.
Correct.
But multiplies in the nose means gives you active IgA immunity, goes inside, gives you systemic immunity also,
Correct.
and gives
Correct.
you a better protection in terms of herd immunity too. And obviously there are other advantages that there's no needle phobia. You have to use it as
Correct.
single dose.
Correct.
And better cellular
Correct.
immunity
Better
as well.
All
cellular
right.
immunity,
So
longer lasting, better cross protection with other strains
right.
also.
Okay. We'll come to that a little later, Dr. Abhay Bhai. It was in disrepute for few years. Now again, CDC says it can be used in children.
Yeah,
So
so
why was it in disrepute
it
for
was,
almost 5
I think it
years?
was dropped in 2016 and 17 because
Yes.
the CDC surveillance data proved that in 2015 the vaccine efficacy was hardly less than 3%. I
Yeah, so
repeat,
it was
less
almost
than
zero.
3%, almost zero.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
therefore there was no point in investing the money in that, and probably we
So
switch over to this. Yeah.
it was almost the same time when it switched from trivalent to quadrivalent, is what I understand. I think maybe some manufacturing issue that time, but
Maybe
now
a
they've
batch
overcome
issues.
it.
Yeah.
Batch issue, yeah. So is it available, Dr. Prakash, in India?
I think to the best of my knowledge, it is not available. So I actually asked the Serum Institute person
Correct.
that I wanted some LAIV, and he said, no, this year we have not made it.
Correct. But
Why?
last year they had made.
Last
Why
year
the demand was not enough, it seems.
Correct. And they are actually not directly marketing it, they're marketing through their subsidiary,
Okay.
which is the
MyLab.
MyLab. MyLab is the one which also has their this new skin testing antigen, and the MyLab is the same which probably was marketed. But this year it's not available. Okay. How good is it, Arun? You said it's better efficacy, but like in children or in adults or in both?
So both in children, especially, it's better. I mean, whatever the studies are there, it's more so in children, and the efficacy is 80% plus, 85%. So
Correct.
because of other things also, like better herd protection, better local immunity, live
Correct.
vaccines are definitely better otherwise also,
Correct.
and single doses.
So, Dr. Abhay, when we used to, we use it for some time, and people used to say
I
that
used it last year also. I used it.
correct. So some people used to say that I get a lot of stuffiness of nose and also it's safe from that point of view, or it
I
feels
think
like influenza for a day.
I have not much used because the same
Acha.
problem. There is nasal discomfort, lot of sneezing, there's some watering from the eyes there. So these are
Correct.
local side effects quite there. So I mainly use for the injectable one.
So, Dr. Arun, you have been using it last year and it's your favorite, you said. So, I'm sure a lot of pediatricians might not even have used a single dose. So, of course, I have used in past during the pandemic, and thereafter, I mean, it was a vaccine of my choice too. How do you administer it? Because a 2-dose split, you can
It's
explain
quite
just.
simple. Actually, first 2, 3 times you need a little time to use it, but once
No,
you
so
get
what is it? Like
the
you have a
hang of it,
diluent?
it's in a powder form, lyophilized form.
Yes,
You have a diluent in it. It is
correct,
filled in the syringe, and it's
correct,
0.5 ml. So once
correct,
you mix it, shake
correct.
it slightly, gently, dissolves very fast, and
So,
then there's
like
a
the
dose divider.
rotavirus, there is a
Yeah.
Yes,
injector which
similar,
you have to
similar to
inject
that.
in the
Yes, yes,
and then
similar to the
dilute. And
rotavirus.
after you take
Exactly.
it, how do you make it half up in each
So
nostril?
it's exactly like the rotavirus thing. You dilute it, and after
Uh-huh.
that, there's a dose divider. So if
Correct.
you use a dose divider, I used to use it directly. It's 0.25 one
Why?
side, 0.25 one side. Yeah, yeah. So that's fixing the dose divider, taking it
Correct.
out. Then after first dose, you have to take it out also. So
Correct.
that takes another 5-10 seconds of yours.
Correct. So the dose
So half
divider
of
was
each
a
side.
mechanical device which is attached to the syringe. When you inject
The syringe
0.25,
plunger.
it will stop there. It won't allow you to go beyond that. Then you remove the dose divider, and then remaining you on the opposite side.
Right.
It was quite a tedious. Child will move, suddenly a gush of fluid goes. They feel little, but
So it
yes,
takes a
if you
little
get
more
used to
time
it.
because it has
Yes.
to be diluted. But
Right,
it was
right,
less
right.
expensive, so that also is a plus point.
Right. Dr. Prakash, contraindication, or for that matter, which is the age indication for this vaccine?
Live
So we
vaccine.
recommended
Live
not
vaccine.
below 2 years and not above 55 years.
Correct. Certainly not. Between
there
2
is a
to 5
range.
years.
Pregnancy, no.
Between 2 to 5 years,
Immunocompromised, no.
asthmatic children.
Asthmatic
Now, the main
children,
problem I have is that we have a huge number of wheezing children. So between 2 and
Yeah.
5 years, children with
Correct.
recurrent
They
wheeze
don't use.
is a contraindication.
All right. Pregnancy.
Immunocompromised kids, contraindication. Then
Pregnancy.
kids, somebody who has an immunocompromised patient in the family,
Yeah.
there
Not
also it's a
be.
contraindication.
And pregnant women.
especially if the child has
Pregnancy.
and pregnant woman, of course.
All right.
And
So
somebody
in
has
fact,
taken oseltamivir in the last 2-3 days, you can't give it because
right.
it will interfere with the
And then
So
gap with the other live vaccines.
salicylates and
And
aspirin.
salicylate, long-term
So there are so
salicylates.
many
Salicylate therapy.
Yeah,
correct. So
salicylate.
we are now using flu vaccine very liberally in healthy children, but in past our focus was exactly the type of cases where this contraindicated. That's the
Yes.
reason why
Yeah.
even live vaccine was not into vogue. But in a healthy child between 2 to 50 years and a person, or non-wheezing 5 to 50, you can use this vaccine if it's available. I hope it become available soon. All right, I have running out for time. We have already spent almost 50 minutes. So I have some rapid fire. We'll finish in 10 minutes, and then we'll see whether is there any audience question. So the rapid fire. Bye. If a 2-year-old child has taken only one dose in the first year and now come after 2 years, will you now give only one dose, or you will again
No,
start
two
with
dose. Two dose. Anything which is
Why?
For the first time you have to prime with the 2 doses. That
In
is the
the
basic.
same year.
In the same year. The first dose is priming.
Okay.
Yeah, then it will.
Okay, I will twist this question. The 2-year-old child took one dose of the vaccine in the month of May, the southern vaccine. Then he forgot to come, and now he comes in October for the northern vaccine. Now
No,
the
if
vaccine strains have changed. Now will you give him 2 doses or 1 dose?
No, 1 dose because
One dose.
because
So one calendar year,
calendar year 2 dose. That is the
2
basic.
doses.
Yeah.
That is prime effect.
That is priming. Yeah.
All
But
right.
the second dose should be northern or southern hemisphere.
So that is whichever is available.
Whichever is available.
Both are available. Both of
If
them are
both
there.
are available, I will use the first one which he had taken, because that will
that's
probably
all.
lead to a better priming. All
Yes,
right.
so
Priming.
better
So-
is the same
so
one.
now-
And the next season we'll switch to southern.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So now, Prakash, one twister for you. A 2-year-old child has taken 2 doses, okay, but now comes after 3 years.
So he
How
can
will
come
you
whenever he
dose it?
wants after the first 2 doses. I'll give a single dose only.
So once he is primed with 2 doses in his life, he needs only 1 dose
1 dose.
subsequently. All right. I think this is a practical question. All right, Arun, a child is born in April. So now he is eligible only in October or November, right? And now he's staying in Maharashtra. You say southern vaccine, but now southern vaccine is not available at that time. What do? Give him northern vaccine or make him wait for the next southern vaccine in the May or June?
No. If he's had only 1 dose, I'll give the
No, he has
second
not
dose.
no dose. He was born in April. He is now available, eligible only in October.
No. So what I'll give it, we have to give the vaccine, whatever is available, and from gradually next year, I'll shift him to southern.
Correct. So you will shift in the next May or the year after that May. Parents will
Next
say,
year, I'll
"Sir,
call
do
him
diya."
next year, I'll call him in May, June, July, little
No,
later.
like
Then
suppose this
after that-
child took in November 1 dose, December 1 dose. Now again in April or May you'll give 1 more dose, or
No,
the
I'll
next
give in
April?
July probably.
July you'll get. Okay, fine. I think makes sense. All right. Dr. Abhay, very practical question. Till what age do you give flu vaccine in your practice?
So I usually give up to 18 years because we practice 18 years. But
Correct.
even an adult, I never say no.
No,
Yeah,
forget.
no.
But in children, you will give it like you will recommend, right? Not
Yes,
like
yes.
stick to IAP 5 years.
No,
and
no,
then
no.
you say,
I
Alright.
will recommend. I will recommend.
Arun, you
I give till 5 years.
till 5. After that,
After 5, only if they are asthmatic.
so you
Or
don't
if they are-
recommend to them.
No.
Prakash?
I give it till 8 years as per the health ministry recommendation, and beyond
Government
that only the
program.
special population.
Exactly.
All right. So I give it to till 18 years to children if they are ready to take. But let me tell you, after 5-6 years of age, they are very reluctant and they don't come back.
They
But
usually
till
don't come
5-6 years, definitely we will try to
I
give to
make it a
every
point to
child.
give them in a vital exam, like say 10 standard. That
Correct.
is the time
Correct.
we
Exactly.
emphasize that you give it.
Correct. Okay, Dr. Prakash, what about children in special situation like immune compromise, HIV, chronic disease, till what age will you give them?
I think there is no upper limit because the special situation doesn't change. So your
Correct.
need for the vaccine doesn't change.
No, so you say you give till 8, Arun
No.
said till 5, but if they are immunocompromised, you will
I'll
push
give
them
it till they
Lifetime.
stay with, till they are with me. I'll have
till
to
the
give
time
it.
they are immunocompromised. And what about their contacts? Because they may get it from their contacts.
Yes. So ideally, they are also recommended to take as
Correct.
long as they are exposed to them. So
So all my onco
family
patients, I make
vaccine.
it compulsory that the
In
contacts
contacts,
take
it's a
the
family
vaccine.
vaccine.
All right. So that brings me to a question, Arun. When do you give to a leukemic child flu vaccine? When do you start?
So actually, leukemic child has to be given the vaccine.
Correct.
Ideally, if we have to give, we should give it before the start of the chemo cycle.
Correct.
If he's had a bone marrow transplant, I'll give it after 6 months after the bone marrow transplant.
Correct. No, he's not
But
had bone
definitely-
marrow, but his intense chemo is
Yeah,
over. Now
chemo.
he's on maintenance
Now
therapy
it's
for 2
a
years.
killed vaccine, so we can give it.
Correct.
And most importantly, again, like we said, discussed just now, the caregivers should be given as soon as possible. All of
Correct.
them, the
Correct.
family.
Correct. I think that's important. And last question is, as I asked before also, and I'm going to ask you that if both trivalent and quadrivalent vaccine are available, which one will you use? Dr. Abhay, first you.
I will use quadrivalent.
Arun.
I will also use quadrivalent. They called up and asked me, the company people, I said I use quadrivalent.
Okay, Prakash.
100% quadrivalent if it's available.
All right. Now I want to ask you one question. How many, first to Abhay,
Yeah.
last 5 years, have you taken consistently flu vaccine for yourself?
Last 3 years, not 5
Abhay,
years.
3
Last
years.
3 years.
Arun. Honest answer.
Honest, 3
answer,
years, sir.
honest answer, I've taken injectable and nasal flu both.
Okay. And Prakash?
I have taken consistently and I give it to all my staff every year and they are very
Staff
happy
member,
about it.
very important.
I
Okay.
give it to the staff also.
Okay, last question to again rotating Abhay. What about your family members who are eligible above 50 years?
all,
Because
including-
flu vaccine is definitely to be started at least by 50 years, if
No,
not before,
my
even if you're healthy.
wife, Dr. Sonal, and my even the father-in-law, all been vaccinated.
Arun,
I've also given to all.
All
everyone.
family members who are
Okay.
ready to take.
last question, all of you. Have you taken your conjugate pneumococcal vaccine? You are all above 50,
Yes,
I know. So
yes,
Yes,
for
sir,
Abhay,
yes, taken.
I've taken
Arun.
both. PPSV also have taken.
you have
I've
taken
taken
Prakash.
shingles also.
Yes,
My
whatever.
PPS is due in October.
All right. I
Long
think
back.
so. I want to emphasize on the delegate that we don't only preach, we also practice. And of course, I
Yes.
also have taken all the vaccines.
I've taken MCV also.
Right.
Oh,
So,
Even
And typhoid
herpes
also.
vaccine,
I've taken
herpes.
typhoid too.
Fingerix.
all right. So, any pressing remark, Abhay, before
no,
we
I think
conclude?
I agree with you that this is the underutilized vaccine.
Mhm.
I think it is not that costly also.
Correct.
So we should make it a point that every year, every child get the vaccine. And the Arun Bhai has beautifully told that that's a summer vacation vaccine.
All right, Arun.
So no comment. No, I wanted to ask a question. Panelists can ask questions.
Yeah, you can ask.
Last year, suppose the person has taken one nasal flu vaccine. So this year we give injectable because oral that live is not available. You'll give one dose, 2 doses.
One dose.
One dose.
He is primed because nasal in India is licensed only for 1 dose.
Yeah.
Nasal abroad is licensed for 2 doses in below 9 years. So that's the only difference. So once he's taken a licensed vaccine in the licensed number of doses, he will apply the same principle of only 1 dose.
I will
Okay,
go for 1
Prakash,
dose. Yeah.
any pressing remark?
No, as you rightly said, it's underutilized and we should be unhesitatingly recommending flu vaccine in the interest of the patient and the family. Both.
Okay, there are some questions in the chat box. Let me just go through that. One says the child received 1 dose at 6 months, missed second dose, now comes at 2 years. We already said. All right, then there is one question. One minute.
Sir, there's one question. Can
Patient on
MMR
immunotherapy should be given flu vaccine or no? Immunotherapy, like monoclonal antibody or steroids.
Definitely.
Suppose it should, but live vaccine should not be given.
Live, not live. Yeah.
Correct. Can I give flu vaccine and PCV together to my
Yes.
father who is 68-year-old
Yes.
diabetic?
Yes, we can
Yes,
give
you
it.
can
Both are
give it on
inactive.
the
Yeah.
same day.
No,
What
there's
you
one
don't-
study where people who are on statins, if they're
Ah.
given the live vaccine, the influenza vaccine, the response to H3N2 is slightly reduced. But
correct.
that still is not a reason that you stop the statin or don't give the flu vaccine.
Correct.
But with PCV, you can give.
Correct. So I
The
think we have
incidence of fever may be slightly more, that's it.
correct. So I think we have spent 1 hour in discussing exactly the flu vaccine, and I really thank all the 3 panelists, Abhay Bhai, Dr. Arun Vadwa, Prakash Bhai, for sparing your valuable evening with all of us to enlighten all the delegates who have attended in large number today. And I will hand over the mic back to the organizers. Back to you, Dr. Minaz.
Thank you,
Thank
Nitin
you,
Bhai.
sir.
Thank you so much, Nitin Bhai.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Very nice
There's one
discussion.
question.
Yes.
There's one
Just
question
hold
which
on,
has
hold on
left.
till we
Yeah.
conclude.
No, we're
Yes,
not
yes,
going.
yes.
Yeah. One
Just
question
hold
which
on.
is left.
Yes.
Nitin Shah sir, can MMR and flu be given together?
Yeah.
Yes,
can
that
be
can be
given.
given.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one more question is there. Just see.
Yeah.
No, okay. All are answered. Yeah. Okay. Chalo. Go
All
ahead.
are rest are answers, sir. Rest are answers.
Yeah.
So thank you once again. The great.
Now one question: can you administer
Sir.
different flu vaccine brand every year?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Why? Because the immune system doesn't know the manufacturer; it knows the antigen.
And next year it is already gone, no? It's like a credit card. You can change the card every year.
All right, back to you, Dr. Minaz.
Sir, only
Sir.
one clarification, sir.
Please.
As far as
Sir.
the see, live vaccine is not available, but it is important to know from the audience point of view that even you are giving some blood products, I think there is no interference.
Correct.
You can give it, yeah.
Correct. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I mean, it's been a great session starting from epidemiology, the clinical spectrum, the societal impact, the great societal impact, the preventive strategies, the types of vaccine, the doses and all. Must say it's highly enlightening, exceptionally, particularly with the exceptional experts, including Prakash Vadya sir, Arun Wadhwa sir, Abhay Shah sir, and our own vaccine sir. I now say vaccine sir rather than anything else. Our vaccine sir, Nitish Shah sir. I'm not exaggerating, but I must tell you, uh, 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 this 1 hour in one vaccine, I don't think anybody is discussing to the extent that we have been discussing last 6 sessions. So hats off to our team led by Nitin Shah sir, and we shall continue to with this as well. Our next session will be on the 1st of
It will be on
August.
the 1st of August, and I'll declare the vaccine also. We are going to discuss dengue vaccines.
Great. So all these sessions are available at YouTube, Maha IIP. Would like to say to our viewers that you can like, subscribe, and view those channels as and when required.
Right.
So it has a great material over there,
Correct.
easily available at your fingertips. So
Correct.
once again, thank you the entire team led by Nitin Shah sir and our own president, secretary, EB, of our Maharashtra IP and Central IP. With
Now-
this we close.
And
Thanks a lot, sir.
now that we are at the six session is half year sessions are over. Maybe we have another
Sir.
4 or 5. I have a request to the office bearers of the IIP Maharashtra branch that if it's possible, as we have the recording of each of the session and through
Yes,
the AI we can generate the script. We should bring it out in the form of booklet of a question answer of Vaccine Samvad by MyIP. I mean, it will be great service for people who have not been able to attend to get all the question answer, and it will also be good for the students. So just think over. I'm of course there to help you out.
Sure.
That
sir.
will take up, sir. That will take
Very
up.
very
We
good
will
idea.
taken care of,
Very
sir.
good idea.
Great. Thank you once again. See you again August 1st. Good night.
Good
Thank
night,
you, sir,
sir.
for joining. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night, sir.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, Nitish Shah sir. Good night, Gabay sir.
Bye.
night,
Yes,
sir.
Sanjay,
Good night,
Prakash bhai.
Prakash sir.
Good night, Sanjay sir.
Record
Amol
stop.
sir, good night.
Sir,